just discuss very briefly two brief subjects that do matter. His guest, Ashley from Tennessee, from the dissenter, her thoughts on Black empowerment were inspiring. We are in a business trying to keep hope alive and keeping the faith for people all across our country on national radio. And some periods in our lives, we just get down ourselves. We need to hear from other people that motivate and inspire us to keep on dreaming, to keep on fighting, to keep hope alive, and to keep the faith. Ashley did that for me today. The idea that was raised by Charles Blow, formerly of the New York Times, that maybe African Americans strategically and or tactically might need to consider occupying and moving to some southern states where our numbers could yield for us two enlightened United States senators, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, maybe even North Carolina, a reverse kind of migration. Those of us who came from the South North, maybe we ought to give it some consideration, because 6 or 8 United States senators who've joined or could join, the 2 from the Northeast and others from around the country, could make a significant difference in the future direction of the Republic. More so than just 60 African Americans in Congress, 10 senators. We already know what one senator can do, but the idea that our senators could join the senator from New Jersey and join the other 2 senators from the Northeast could give us a sizable political stake in the future of the Republic. That matters. A very, very inspiring and important conversation that really looks closely and delicately at the meat and potatoes of American politics. And then Dr. West and Nina Turner, they turned their attention to our subject matter today. The prioritization of white South Africans to the United States, because they are, as Donald Trump and the Trump administration has deemed, along with Elon Musk, another white South African, and we know the influence that he has on the administration, that somehow South Africans are victims of reverse discrimination. If Nelson Mandela were alive and Walter Sisulu, Johnny Fanafuti Makatini, General G.K. Matthews, and others, they would frown upon the idea that when they adopted their new constitution, it was an inclusive constitution that even respected the rights of the new minority, white South Africans. And now those white South Africans are crying foul. And 41 of those families arrived today at Dulles International Airport and are coming to a neighborhood next to you, looking at Blacks and African Americans potentially. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. That's hard to imagine, though. They claim to be escaping discrimination, but here they get to come to the United States of America, become citizens, maybe even receive land, maybe even receive housing assistance. Maybe all of them will end up working for Tesla, the richest man in the world. Maybe he wants a workforce of white South Africans that he can prioritize. He can afford to prioritize every single one of those families. And maybe they will come together and elect their own congressmen, their own state representatives, their own state senators, all of whom would be bringing their unique, interesting, so-called anti-discrimination perspective to American legislatures around our country. I don't think we get to avoid that conversation. My guest today will be Ted Williams, a passionate educator, actor, author who graduated from Rutgers University, the University of Chicago, and Northern Seminary. He teaches political science and is chairman of the social sciences department at Kennedy King College, one of the City of Chicago colleges, community colleges. Currently is an adjunct professor at Wheaton College and previously at Chicago State University. Williams is the former host of WYCC PBS Television's The Professor's Public Affairs Talk Show and has provided insightful political commentary for WGN-TV, the Superstation, NBC TV, Upfront with Jesse Jackson, and a host of additional media outlets. Ted Williams, welcome back to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, our very special guest will be none other than Ted Williams. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You really about to do it? 40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music. Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Who among us doesn't like black music? But Kendrick is right. This moment is so much bigger than music. These are serious times. We've got serious problems, and we need serious people who understand that slogans are not solutions. When you want substantial and sober analysis about things that matter to you and the ones you love, this is where you turn. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
New Always Pocket Flex Foam will change the way you think about pads. Get full-size protection in a surprisingly tiny pack that fits right in your purse or pocket. Perfect for life on the go. With up to 0 leaks, 0 feel, and 0 bunching, you'll forget you're even wearing a pad. And Always Pocket Flex Foam is designed to adapt to your body, so you can move freely and confidently throughout your day. Experience the future of period protection with new Always Pocket Flex Foam. Pick up your pack today.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up, Oscar!
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My special guest, Ted Williams. Ted, welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much for having me, brother. Good to be with you.
Ted, I'm so honored that you're back. Professor, listen, I am particularly perplexed at the idea that, one, South Africans are coming to the United States under some kind of protected refugee status. Number two, I'm almost certain that constitutionally, under the South African Constitution, they still have their property interests in South Africa. It's still their land. It's still their property. But they may be fast-tracked. In fact, they will be fast-tracked as citizens in the United States, afforded and provided all kinds of benefits that people in Afghanistan, that people in Haiti, that people around the world in Gaza are not being afforded in terms of protected refugees at this hour in American history. Please opine and share with us, Professor Williams, your thoughts on the subject matter.
Yeah, brother, thank you so much for having me, and always thank you for your work and your just the ability to educate our community in a time that we are so desperately in need of education and inspiration. I must say to you very clearly that this is nothing like this happens by itself. There is context that we must understand. And our president is really continuing a tradition, an American tradition of racial selection when it comes to immigration. We have a Naturalization Act of 1790 that essentially said that people who were not of European descent did not deserve to become U.S. citizens up until 1952, when that act was overturned by the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952. We have this long, pernicious history in this country of deciding which people ought to deserve American citizenship. And that has been explicitly, not just subtly, explicitly tied to racial identity. So President Trump is going back. He wants to make America great again, as we have said and need to be reminded of this. And he wants to go back to a time where he prioritizes this. I will tell you, brother, of all of the things that have given me outrage, of all of the actions that he has taken that have been very racially problematic, this might be the worst. And there is a very, very clear effort, if you will, to make sure that those who are poor, who are black and brown, will not receive the same protection from the United States. It is anti-American. It is anti-democratic. It is anti-Christian, brother. And I can tell you that it gives me a pit in my stomach when I just read this skinny budget that the president released about a week and a half ago, where he wants to reduce all kinds of protection for the environment, all kinds of protections for labor, all kinds of protections for education, and yet finds a way to increase tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans, and also in the midst of this increased defense spending, brother, I am outraged. I'm angry. I'm saddened. I'm actually in many ways overwhelmed, but I am grateful for opportunities to be with people like yourself and other folks who are fighting the good fight. This ought to have everyone in this country who cares about equality, who cares about justice. It should have them all up in arms. And I tell you, these particular people who are coming, the South African government says that if they take refugee status, they cannot come back into the country. If they come back in the country, they've got to give up the refugee status. And what President Trump has claimed is happening to them, the South African government has denied vehemently. And as we all know, what this is really about is the land redistribution that is occurring from the government to take back some level of economic power, to make some level of justice happen after dealing with apartheid from 1948 to 1994. Black South Africans, who are the majority in this country at about 80%, are still suffering heavily in every area of life. And oftentimes, my brother, and I'll close with this thought, oftentimes when people are used to privilege, equality feels like injustice. And this is exactly where these folks are. They are not victims, but President Trump has shown you very clearly who his priority is. And I tell you, brother, if there's any reason for us to stand against this man, he could not be more obvious in this action about where his priorities lie, his affiliations, and his feeling towards people that look like you and I.
Now, to add insult to injury, Ted, and I want you to opine on this, especially for our listeners across the country and certainly in the Los Angeles area, these are African Americans. Their new protected refugee status in the United States, properly identified, is they will be African Americans who get to claim not only refugee status, but anti-discrimination laws in the United States apply to them. Because what? They have an African heritage. While they may not have come from a slave ship, while they may not have experienced the processes that we went through from 1619 to the 13th Amendment in 1865, they may not have been here for first Reconstruction or Jim Crow or even second Reconstruction, 1954 to the present. They get to claim that laws designed to protect them as a racial minority in the United States are the same laws that Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and others fought for. And they too are entitled to non-discriminatory practices when there's no history whatsoever of white Afrikaners ever being discriminated against by the American people.
Well, brother, with the current president we have, most of those protections won't exist pretty soon anyway, so we don't even have to worry about them. All of the protections that were fought for during the Civil Rights era, as you know very well, the Voting Rights Act, the Housing Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, they are all threatened right now. And so in that way, there won't be much left for them to justify. But see, what I believe with the worldview of our current president is that even without those laws, he will find a way. He will find a way to give preference to these folks. He will find a way because he loves victimhood. See, the MAGA movement in and of itself is a movement of victimhood. It is a movement that says, even though we, as people of European descent, as white males particularly, own the preponderance of wealth in this country, we are the victims. Even though we are overrepresented in this country in every area of social progress and success, we are the victims. And there's no bigger victim in that movement than our current president, who whines daily about how people talk to him, about how people address him, about how his people have been treated unfairly. And so, I mean, it may be this tragic irony that will occur, that as they roll away these protections, those protections will not be able to be used to benefit people who don't deserve them. But I'm a firm believer, brother, that we will stand against this movement. We will stop this movement. And I will tell you, though, however, when it comes to them, we have to continue to press for the programs like DEI, for the programs like the protections that exist in the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act 65, the Housing Rights Act of 68. And we've got to continue to work at the local and federal level to do that. But this is an affront to all of us. And I can tell you that if there's any time to be woke and not sleeping, it is definitely right now.
Today, an American, Jewish American, an Israeli, an individual with dual citizenship was released in Gaza due to the coordination and diplomacy of the Trump administration with Hamas. And obviously the role that Israelis on the ground have played in the global community to free this one American who was an Israeli soldier. In other words, this American person of Jewish ancestry and Jewish descent was not only an American citizen, but as an American citizen, he had the right to go to Israel, be an Israeli soldier, find himself captured in the Gaza Strip, and he's been held, now released, for more than 500 days. The idea that refugees in Gaza are not welcomed in the United States under some kind of dual citizenship, but that Jewish people in Israel can apply for citizenship, given the long history that includes the creation of the state of Israel itself. The idea that Afghans, upon our very quick release under the Biden administration, those who had fought, particularly women, for education and basic human rights, cannot apply for citizenship in the United States because of the oppressive Taliban regime. The idea that Haitians who fought with America in the American Revolutionary War, Dr. Ron Daniels was on one of our earlier programs, and we've got to have him back sometime soon to discuss these issues, that they are not prioritized. And Africans in the diaspora, but particularly on the continent, whom Donald Trump referred to as hailing from shithole countries, but still believe in democracy and our way of life, do not have protected status. And here comes the very people who supported apartheid that we went to jail for as college students, Ted, that we fought to free Mandela after 27 years of imprisonment, can come to the United States and enjoy protected status, while all of these other Black and brown people are locked out of our country. Outrageous.
It is outrageous. And I'll tell you, particularly with the Haitians, what is happening in Haiti currently, where essentially in Port-au-Prince, the government has collapsed and there's gang rule all across the country. And Haitians cannot get in here. And yet Haiti is in the Western Hemisphere, very close to our shores. And our very city that you and I hail from was founded by a Haitian. There is such a strong connection to this. And, what we're doing by having this conversation, brother, is we're educating people for outrage. We're helping people to understand. But I got to tell you, when I look at this, for me, I'm honestly tired of talking, brother. You understand what I'm saying? I'm tired of talking because every day there's something new. Every day there's another level of insult. And to the point of what you were saying, power concedes nothing without a demand. At this point, we have to engage in power play. It cannot be more obvious. If there's anyone still today, by the way, who doubts whether Trump is racist, I don't know what to tell you at this point. I can give you 100 examples, and today might be one of the most clear examples. But of course, people will find ways to justify what he's done even today. But now we come to a point where we have to fight with power. We have to unapologetically move. I was having a conversation about Kennedy King College earlier with someone today, where I teach in the Inglewood community, and how we have a new campus that was built in 2008. Beautiful campus, one of the nicest campuses in the city college system. And that campus was held up for 7 years by our former chancellor, Dr. Wayne Watson, because he wanted to make sure that Black contractors got on those jobs. And so when that building was built, those 5 buildings we have, 60% of the contracts that went to build the building went to minority contractors. See, this was a power play. This was not a conversation. This was not a protest. This was saying that we are going to hold up production, hold up construction, and we're going to utilize our power, whether you like it or not. This is what Trump is doing, by the way. See, Democrats, we get into office and we want to be nice and we want to be conciliatory and we want to, be bipartisan. I know we've had this conversation as well before, but that is nothing what Trump is doing. He's using power as it should be used to the benefit of his constituency. And we must, my brother, stop playing nice, and we have to engage in doing the same.
I couldn't agree more, and I can't think of a more important guest to open up this conversation of education for the masses of people who can hear our voices. I hope they can hear our voices and understand that behind our voices is outrage. The question is, Professor Williams, what can we do?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, as we understand, knowledge is power. Nelson Mandela, the world's probably most famous South African, said that education is the only tool that we have to change the world. So what I recognize, brother, and I have wanted to, as many of us, we get out and we get politically active and we organize and we get involved in lobbying and those sort of things. And that's all fine and good. But what happens, bro, if we don't turn around and grab the people, each one must reach one and each one must teach one, who are not awake, who do not understand these things, then we miss the boat. So never underestimate the power of education. We've got to grab, I with our students every single day, I cannot tell you how many people who are younger, ages 18 through 25, who are walking through their lives every day, not aware of any of this stuff. And it is affecting them. I used to tell them that politics impacted them every day in their lives. They can see it, but many of them are still not engaging. And so what we're doing right now is we have a community leadership certificate program. We got a bunch of other programs to try to get folks civically engaged. And I believe that it spreads. And I am super, super excited about these midterm elections. I am super excited about this next presidential election, because what I have seen in our communities, brother, and as I continue to try to educate our young folks, but in our communities, man, there's something bubbling over. And every insult, every time he does something, this is just greater fuel in the fire, and we got to keep working. So education, we got to educate, we got to empower, but then we got to activate them as well. And this is what, you and Push and other folks have been doing, and we got to continue it.
Before we go forward to our moment to pause, our moment of break, I just want to, when we come forward, talk about political organization. In this moment, I have a reflection upon it. And when you mentioned Mandela, I'm reminded that he was Xhosa. In South Africa, that's the clan and the tribe of royal families that Mandela came from. Xhosa. He was Xhosa. But also in South Africa are the Zulu. Mandela's a famous Xhosa South African, but our people were fighters in South Africa. And we didn't just roll over for minority rule. We did fight back. And while the Xhosa participated in the fighting, it was Shaka Zulu who fought oppression, fought colonization, outthought them and engaged. We are as much Xhosa as we are Zulu in this struggle. And some of us, particularly those of us who are comfortable in the African-American middle class, we are kind of Xhosa in our thinking. But the kind of fight that I hear Professor Williams talking about is more reflective of the Zulu side of our heritage. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we're going to talk about political organization when we come forward.
It's It's Afternoon Drive Time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is blaming the Biden-Harris administration for Newark, New Jersey's airport issues, calling the equipment outdated and unsafe.
We're using equipment that looks like it's off the Apollo 13 sat.
He says fixes will take time and flights will be cut, impacting many Black travelers who rely on the busy hub. A group of 49 white Afrikaners granted refugee status under a Trump executive order are arriving in Virginia today. The order claimed they faced unfair treatment in South Africa and gives them a path to U.S. citizenship and government benefits. The move has sparked criticism over the U.S. prioritizing white refugees, while many others still face long waits. And Sharp James, a former Black Newark, New Jersey mayor of 20 years, has died at 89. He's remembered for his colorful personality, notably when he famously defeated Cory Booker in 2002 while impersonating a street fighter. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Are you sick of drying chlorinated water in your home? At LifeSource, they believe your health, your skin, and your hair deserve better. Enjoy delicious, clean water from every tap with a LifeSource water system. Call 1-800-WATER-99 or visit lifesourcewater.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember, no warrant, no key, my privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The Comedy Connection series featuring KBLA's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady. We're going to transform relationship disasters into stand-up material live at Inglewood's Miracle Theater on May 31st at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My clinical team will disclose all of your dating woes, while the alpha male of comedy, Ray Grady, has hand-selected supremely talented comedians to roast all of our tragic relationship choices. I dare you to bring your ex's phone number because Ray, he's going to text it live and the crowd will be sourcing emojis. Tickets are moving swiftly, so don't hesitate to grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before I diagnose your dating history as a pre-existing condition.
After nearly 20 years in Congress, he knows how to get at the issues that matter the most to you. Every day, he takes a deep dive into politics, social justice, and the stories that shape our community. This is where prominent people unpack perplexing problems. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. You're inside the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the second consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is Resilience in the Face of Chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest is Ted Williams III, passionate educator, actor, author, actor. As an actor, he appeared in commercials for companies including Subway, Cheerios, Empire Carpet, and recently appeared in the films Human Zoos, The Christmas Thief, and on NBC's Chicago PD, Showtime's The Chi. Furthermore, he is a contributor to the Third World Press Text, Not My President, creator, production, Torn, the musical, and the author of The Way Out. I want to talk about political organizing with him because Williams is also a former candidate for the Chicago City Council and creator of the production 1619, The Journey of a People. Ted, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you again, brother. Thank you. With respect to political organizing, I teach in class after, campaign experience and that sort of thing, that really politics comes down to 3 M's: money, media, and mobilization, as you know very well. And so when it comes to political organizing, we have to hit our enemies, if you will, on those 3 levels. Let's talk about all 3 very briefly. Money. We have effectively created a boycott of Target that has lowered its stock by 24%. This is the power of our $1.6 trillion economy in the African American community. When we organize, we win. When we take our money and our spending habits and use them towards our own elevation, we can win. Target is understanding that. That's money. Number 2, media. This woman who just called a young boy the N-word on a playground, as has gone viral on social media, raised close to $700,000. $700,000 of support. It tells you, once again, for those who believe that racism does not exist in this country, that you would have people that would give $700,000 for a person that called a child a racial slur. Yet the platform that hosted this fundraiser, called Give, Send, Go, was challenged by an African-American woman. And through her efforts, single-handedly, she was able to get that fundraiser shut down. This is how we utilize our power in places like social media. And she did a big social media campaign to get that going. So the media is very important. Last but not least, mobilization. I think about when the Affordable Care Act was passed, how the movement that got President Obama into the White House was a movement that ultimately tried to be conciliatory, tried to be bipartisan. But when it came down to this piece of legislation that needed to be passed to give 47 million Americans access to health care, it was done without any Republican support at all. And you know that very well. And so with that, we understand that mobilization politically wins us victories. And so it doesn't matter if they come along on this. Dr. King famously said that, that we may not be able to legislate morality, but we can regulate behavior. And so it didn't matter for him if a white person loved him, but it did matter to him that the law would protect him from being abused by this person. And so this is, to me, Brother Jesse, the way that we look at trying to move our communities forward: money, media, and mobilization. And I focused on these three things primarily because we won them. And that's very difficult sometimes when you're playing football. And I'll close out with this. I played football in high school. And sometimes when you're down, you know, just any kind of thing, a block, a fumble, a yard, you need a little bit of encouragement to want to get back out there and go. And you just get that, you might actually come back. And I'm a big fan of football because it's never over. And to the fat lady single, they said you can have an underdog and give them just a little bit of hope, and they can win a game. And I think that's how we have to view our situation, not as a glass half empty, but as a glass half full.
So let me share with you a little bit about my history, and certainly the listeners might appreciate some of the kernels of truth that I'm going to share. I watched my father run for president in 1984 and 1988, but before then I was the strategist and one of the statisticians for Southern voter registration campaign throughout the summers of 1982 and 1983. We registered thousands of people to vote from Virginia around to Texas. Frank Watkins and I and a number of other people carried large notebooks of county by county Black voter registration. We brought William Bradford Reynolds from the Justice Department so we could show them elections in Alabama and Mississippi where they were still practicing 40-year-old discrimination. The Department of Justice under Reagan suspended those elections in those counties because he witnessed with his own eyes what we were talking about. After the 84 and 88 campaign, after having worked 50 states twice for my dad, I encouraged him to run for president in 1992. He opted out. I felt by 1992 he would have definitely been the Democratic nominee. He had changed the rules in the Democratic Party, and he could have won. I wanted to build, maybe my father and my biggest bone of contention was build a political organization, not since the NAACP. Not since the Urban League had Black people had an opportunity to put an organization in all 50 states, because Jesse was the one guy working in all 50 states, but a political organization, not just a justice organization, a political organization that saw the Electoral College, that saw voter registration, that saw participation, that saw the Congress, that saw the Senate. And out of frustration, in 1993, I moved from Washington, D.C. as the field director of the Rainbow. I came to Chicago and my congressman got in trouble. I ran for Congress. I got elected in 1995. I woke up one day in 1998 and some group of people put another Jesse Jackson in my race. They said I was only name deep.
I remember.
An 81-year-old Jesse Jackson. And when I sued, I found out all of these Black elected officials around town who were at the meeting to find the other Jesse Jackson. So after I got back on the ballot, because the petitions of the other Jesse Jackson were obtained fraudulently, I then got that little list of people who were at that initial meeting that created that campaign. And I ended up electing 4 state representatives from my congressional district, 3 state senators from my congressional district, 2 city council persons from my congressional district, all of whom I knew. I wasn't just one of many members of Congress. We had built in one congressional district the most effective Black political organization in a congressional district anywhere in the country. 4 state representatives, 3 state senators, and 2 city council persons in the city of Chicago. We were involved from my office in the state of Illinois, all the way in Springfield, in the state Senate, both House and Senate chambers, and also in the city council and in Washington, D.C., prioritizing the south side of Chicago and south suburbs. We may have 60 blacks in Congress. We may have blacks in the United States Senate, but their reach must also be in the state legislatures, in the appropriations, and in the taxing conversations in order to get a highway built in a congressional district. That's called political organization. And I try to push it down to the school board and the dog catcher and to the infinitesimal level of registering people to vote, because every vote matters. I registered 5,000 people to vote over the course of about 4 months. And guess what I won by in 1995? By 5,000 votes.
Wow.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we'll have Professor Ted Williams. We'll continue our conversation about what's going on in our world. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like to go inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Pasadena City College is proud to support Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. For over 100 years, PCC has been a pillar of the community, and we're here for you as we work together to recover from the Eaton fire and rebuild Altadena's future. At PCC, we offer diverse career education programs that prepare you for in-demand jobs, fueling both today's recovery and tomorrow's growth. Whether you're starting a new career or advancing your skills, PCC gives you tools to build your future and your community. Pasadena City College, here for the Dena, here for you. Learn more at pccfordena.com.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
The following is not a contest. Ad is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways. Airfare not included. See FVGradio.com for complete details. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get your complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. Proceeding is not sponsored by this station or its affiliates.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Today is the very first day that we are broadcasting live on our YouTube channel. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show is now live on YouTube. I want to thank Gina Towns, our executive producer. We are moving slowly but surely over to the social media platforms. I want to share with you that our guest tomorrow is attorney Jose Matthews, educated in England, but his grandfather is General G.K. Matthews. General G.K. Matthews was one of the leaders of the resistance to the apartheid movement in South Africa, and he will be our guest. He is a global figure. We will talk with Jose at great length tomorrow. Our guest today is Ted Williams, passionate educator, actor, and author, graduate of Rutgers University and the University of Chicago, an Illinois humanitarian Rhodes Scholar appointed by Governor Pritzker to serve on the state's Reparations Commission, has led numerous civic engagement initiatives. Professor Williams, welcome back to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you again for having me. I do want to say I'm glad that you mentioned the Reparations Commission, because I think we got to put our foot on the gas. I think we have to be more unapologetically progressive, and we have to ask questions that are uncomfortable. As Dr. King said very clearly, that the public accommodations bill did not cost America anything. But when we began to have to pay, there was going to be a different response to dealing with inequality. So there are 3 states across the country, Illinois, California, and New York, whose governors have established state-level reparations commissions. And what we are doing through our work in this commission in our state is quantifying the harms that have been done since really the founding of our state and the founding of this country, finding the connections not only to the transatlantic slave trade and the years, the 250 years of slavery in this country, but also to the 100 years of legally sanctioned terror through Jim Crow laws and segregation and redlining and those sorts of things, and putting a number on that. Because ultimately, as we know, from a spiritual perspective, both of us have a seminary background, that atonement is a righteous pursuit. The Bible says that fools mock making amends for sins. So until we deal with this, and I am really open to a variety of ways that we do this, whether it be through, there's a variety of ways. We could have a whole conversation about that. There's efforts for cash payments, there's efforts for land, there's all kinds of efforts. And I think this gets us back to the original question that we were talking about with South Africa. Once again, the reason why these South Africans are running, these Afrikaners, these white Dutch South Africans are running, is because the government is saying, after all of these years, 1948 to 1994, of apartheid, there is a price you must pay. And that price you must pay is access to land so that the people who have been oppressed can begin to build wealth for themselves. Well, really, America has the same problem.
Now, Professor, you know I'm going to give you the final 3 minutes of hope on my program right before I exit out of this hour. I do want to push back, not push back, but push forward, if you will, on the question of reparations, because as you know, this Supreme Court could easily strike down any efforts at reparations at the federal level. But it could also deem efforts at the state level to be unconstitutional as well. While I was in Congress, I had to figure out the balance between the argument for what is due us and the legal constitutional structure to get us there. So I advocated in my book, A More Perfect Union, for new constitutional rights, because I know that Black people with these new constitutional American rights are going to use them in ways that white folks ain't. We deserve a right to a public education of equal high quality. I don't care how much it costs, but we have to have Black folk going to court with that right and make state legislatures and the Congress do right by the American people. We know what school districts we live in. We know what disparate schools look like. The same can be said of healthcare. We know we're disproportionately not receiving this or getting that, and we're dying at disproportionately the rates. So we deserve a constitutional right to healthcare of equal high quality, and we need a legal right, even in this legal climate, to go into court and get the very healthcare that we need to stay alive. And I can go right through the right to vote, all of which is not in the Constitution, but this court gets to strike down. What form reparations takes matters. And I'm going to dedicate not just a show, but a couple of shows with you to discuss this. With that said, your thoughts about the ability to accomplish reparations in this environment, my question. And then my final question to you is to provide our audience, ultimately, Reverend Williams, with a word of hope.
Thank you again. And constantly am inspired and learning from your breadth of experience in all of these spaces. And thank you for your years of work on this. I've read your book, and I know this argument well. Let me say this. You know, I am not an ideologue on any of these questions. I think there is an argument to be made in the reparations, or the repair-based justice is really what we're looking at. For even starting within the last 50 years of redlining and contract buying and all of these kinds of housing inequalities that have occurred, that would be court-based, that would not require the federal government to really do anything based on this promise that was made of 40 acres and a mule, and really would not require states to go back that far either. See, for me, brother, and I understand what you're saying about the political feasibility of the time. I get it. I mean, I fully get it. I'm actually a reparations convert in some ways, because I never thought we could actually do it until I dug into the work and I saw the quantifiable numbers that exist for people who are still alive and whose children or people whose parents went through these things. I think reparations conversations get shut down when people who are against it go, well, that was 200 years ago and you weren't here and that sort of thing. Okay, fine. Let's talk about redlining in Chicago right now. Let's go to court right now. And let's deal with these questions of now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And so that is sort of where I approach this, and we could have more conversation. When it comes to hope, brother.
About 45 seconds.
I will say this very clearly. You may feel like I pat you on the back a lot in the work of your family, but I will tell you, brother, that the reason why I support PUSH and I support the efforts of this particular angle of our justice movement is that without our faith, where will we be? We can not have the power. African Americans do not have the power or the strength to do this on our own. We need a savior. We need a God that is higher, that goes beyond what we have. We recognize that our human rights don't come from the Constitution or they come from the Declaration of Independence, but they come from a creator. And we recognize the Declaration says we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights. No creator, no rights. And so I have hope because I believe in the source of eternal hope. And we will keep on pressing on. As Dr. King said, in 5 seconds, real quick, I may not get there with you. I don't know what's going to happen in our lifetime, brother. But I do believe that justice will win one day. And I continue to have hope in that in my life.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This was Pastor Ted Williams. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Keep hope alive until tomorrow.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.